The Last Spike is a game that was on Kickstarter a couple of weeks ago. The Kickstarter is over now, and the game got funded. So right now the game is in a sort of limbo. It's not on Kickstarter anymore. It's not out yet. So if you're interested in acquiring a copy, it's kind of hard. You have to wait for the game to be published. But I was really curious about the game, so I contacted the publisher, which is Columbia Games, and they kindly sent me a prototype for review purposes, so that I could try it and I could put together a video review in case you have backed the game, then you're excited about it, so this can whet your appetite, or in case you haven't backed the game, then you may get a sense of whether or not this is a game for you when it finally comes out and is available. The Last Spike is a re-release of a game that came out a couple of decades ago. It's a pretty old game. The first thing that comes to mind is a game in the tradition of Ticket to Ride, where if anything it has to be the other way around, I guess, because this game originally came out before Ticket to Ride. But it is a train game with an economic component in which you place pieces on a board to create a railroad, to fill up slots, to connect cities, and you make money by doing so with a core of mechanics that are different from Ticket to Ride, have different interaction. So when I think of Ticket to Ride, it's mainly because of the common theme and because of the family-oriented approach. This is a game that is super simple. 7, 8-year-old player would be able to play it efficiently, competently. Maybe will not win, but would be able to understand what the strategy is about. And also it is a game that you can play with your non-gaming spouse. You can play yourself as a gamer that watches video reviews out there. So it really can cover a lot of different options and mileages when it comes to the kind of game that players may be interested in playing. Anyhow, let me show you how The Last Spike works. This is the board of the game where you will build your railroad that will connect Sacramento to St. Louis, or St. Louis to Sacramento, I guess. It depends on which way you look. And here you have several tracks, several areas where you will place track tiles that you will draw randomly from a pile, and these will represent the railroad that you're building. These track tiles are represented by wooden blocks with information written only on one side. So as you're playing the game, these will stand upright, facing you, so that you know exactly the value and location of each block, and the opponent does not. Location, yes, because areas on the board where you will place your tiles are labeled by a letter and a number. At the beginning of your turn, you look at your pool of track tiles and you must build one. You must lay one piece of track and build a section of the railroad. And once you do that, you need to pay the corresponding amount of money to put that piece down. It will cost me $2,000. You start with an amount of money that will depend on the number of players. If you build, for whatever crazy reason that you may have, in the middle of nowhere, that is in an area which is not connected to a city or to a previous piece of track, you had to pay twice the cost of the regular tile. This would cost me $10,000 if I were to put it there without any connection around it. Now, when you are the first player to place a tile by a city, you will receive a free deed for that city. Hooray! Cities, such as Denver, have a stack of land deed cards that you place in a stack of ascending cost. This one costs 2,000, 3, 4, and 5, and you put the free land grant on top. So the first player to lay tracks by a city opens business in that city and gets the top land deed for free and adds it to their play area. Later, other players will have the option of buying land deeds. They can buy only one per turn. They can only buy the one that is on top of the selected stack, so that land deeds for certain cities will become increasingly expensive, because that is the cost that you have to pay when you're purchasing it. at the beginning of the turn, you must build a section of a track, you must play a track section, and if you do not have the money, then you need to sell one of your deeds. To sell a deed, you choose one of the deeds in your area and you put it out for auction. The starting price is half of the value on the first line. We'll talk later about the meaning of the lines. In this case, if I'm selling this for an auction because I do not have money to build stuff, I am starting the auction at 4,000. Other players may bid more, so this simply is an auction, and the card goes to the player that will pay me the most for this card. If no one wants it, then the card goes to the bank. It is available for purchase again, and I receive the starting price, which in this case would be 4,000. So you must put down a section of a track, and at some point, hooray, cities will start being connected. That is, you will be able to build all of the pieces of track that connect the city. Now, I don't know if I can find the missing one, probably not, but in any case, I'll use another one as a replacement. So suppose that I build that. When I put down the last spike, the last section to connect two cities, players that own deeds for those two cities will receive money. I connect St. Louis with Omaha, then players that have deeds for those two cities will receive money. The amount that you receive is based on the number of deeds that you have for each city that scores. For example, if I have 3 cards for St. Louis, and St. Louis is connected to another city, maybe either one, I receive the amount of money indicated by the third line. 3 deeds, line number 3, I receive 36,000. If I had 4, then I would receive 48,000, which is pretty sweet. So you see that the cost of the deeds increases as time goes by and players buy them, which is pretty cool because early on you are purchasing cards, maybe you're getting cards for free or you're purchasing them for cheaper, but you do not know when and if the cards will actually make you money, the cities will actually make you money, because certain cities may never give you any payout. Simply they may never score. The game may end without you getting any money, especially if you bought a lot of deeds for a certain track. They'll score you a ton of money. Then other players will try not to build tracks around there, not to connect cities that will make you a lot of money. So it's really a matter of balance and semi-cooperation here, because if other players have interest in building a certain section of a track, they may help you, but that means, of course, that you're not the only one that receives money there. The more money you make, the less help you will receive. The more it's a share enterprise, the easier it is to build a section of the track to connect two cities. But of course, then other players are also gaining money from that. So, summarizing so far, you need to put down a piece of track, pay for it, or if you don't have the money, sell one of your deeds. Then it is possible that you and other players will receive money. Maybe other players only will receive money for the connection that you made. After that, you may, it's optional, purchase a deed from one of the available piles. You can only purchase from piles that have already been open for business, so that do not have the free land grant on top, and you simply may purchase any one from the open stacks, and you purchase the one on top. You pay the corresponding amount of money, add this to your area. And after that, you will have 3 tracks, 3 pieces of track in your pool, because you had 4. You placed 1 there, then you simply draw another one randomly. These are just in a mess right now, but in the real game they should be face down so that they are drawn randomly. At the end of your turn, you're back to having 4 pieces of track, 4 track tiles, and your turn is over. Players repeat that. Put down a section of a track, pay for it. You may receive money, you may buy a deed, and then you receive a new section of the track from the pile. The game continues until Sacramento and St. Louis are connected. As you can see, there are several ways in which the railroad may go. Maybe it will be like this, maybe it'll go like this. Many possible ways. And you're trying, well, of course, to connect cities so they will score you a lot of money, will make you a lot of money, and probably possibly prevent the opponents from making money too. The players to put down the last spike, the last section that will actually complete the railroad and end the game, receives a bonus of $20,000, which is sweet. At that point, the game is over. Players count how much cash they have. Victory is based on cash only. At that point, deeds are worth nothing. The player at that point that is the richest in cash is the winner of the game. So, is this game the new Ticket to Ride, or should I say, is it the old one? I don't know, but really the analogy is there in terms of the theme, of course, of complexity, of accessibility. This game is super simple, super accessible. If anything, I found that it is a little harder to explain than it is to play, because it is simply so intuitive. You lay down tracks, you buy deeds, and a couple of other things that may happen out of sequence. For example, if you get a free deed, then you cannot buy one in the same purchase phase. But it is super simple. There isn't a ton of strategy, mind you, and the luck of the draw is right there. There is a chance, I guess, that as you draw your initial tiles, there isn't a single tile that you could connect to a city. You only got the tiles that are in the middle of the tracks, and then it will cost you a lot of money to start your empire, because you have to pay double, and maybe you drew only tiles that are super expensive, so that's going to be a huge drain on your capital to start with. Or maybe it happens that you did draw tiles that will allow you to start a railroad from cities that are very expensive, and this way you can get the first deed for free, and other players that want to share the profits with you, or simply to get in on the deal, will have to spend a lot of money. So between tiles that may force you to spend a lot of money, and other tiles that actually would give you a lot of free deeds, things can be tricky. There is a luck component there, but I believe that extreme cases that really go one way or the other, which that is the thing that matters the most and determines the game, such cases will not be too frequent. Another aspect of the luck factor, but that actually is not luck that you can do nothing about. It's luck that you can rework in your strategy. Comes from the fact that you know that some tiles that you got randomly may allow certain tracks to be completed and score. You may have in your hand the tile that actually completes the line between Sacramento and St. Louis and actually would end the game. So by denying the knowledge to the other players, by delaying that until you think is the right time to do so, you will obtain several advantages in manipulating the options that the players have. So the last spike is a new Ticket to Ride. Again, not chronologically and historically, but in the way I experience the game. So this is a game that is similar to Ticket to Ride. I find it easy to teach, and when I'll be teaching the game to my kids, then I think that it will be right there at the level of complexity of Ticket to Ride. I will not have to wait for much longer, even though the interactions are a little more interesting because of the relative value of things, because buying things earlier costs less, but they may be useless. When you get a sense that something is going to be useful, then it's later in the game, maybe not many deeds are available, and the ones that are available are pretty expensive. So I like that interaction that you have here, which I find more interesting and subtler than in Ticket to Ride. There are also interaction of that kind. There is secret knowledge in Ticket to Ride based on the objectives that are trying to complete. But I find this game to be a little subtler, to be at least as fulfilling in terms of the interaction, to be more fulfilling than Ticket to Ride without being at all any more complex or complicated. It plays fast, it plays in under an hour, depends, and believe me, just plays me rush to complete the entire railroad, then it will last even less, but around 40-45 minutes, that's a reasonable amount of time to play the game. In an evening you'll be able easily to play 2 or 3 games if you so wish, or you can use it as an opening game in a game night, as a closing game. It is light enough to be the opener or the closer of a game night. It is fast enough to fulfill that slot, and yet it is still interesting and engaging enough to be a game that is worth playing in that context. The Last Spike by Columbia Games, a game that was available on Kickstarter, not out yet. Frankly, it's a game that I've been happy to play, that I enjoy playing, and I hope that if you give it a try, you can enjoy it too.